now recorded. So we'll get the ball rolling. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for the slight delay there in getting the ball rolling, but here we are now at 2:10 for the second session of the Planning Committee of Derry City and Strabane District Council. So again, just to formally welcome everybody who has joined us online, and obviously members of the public who are watching, and a particular welcome to the elected representatives who are here, and I thank them again for their attendance. So without further ado, I will ask Maura to take us through agenda items 1 and 2, notice and summons and attendance and apologies. Maura.
Thank you, Chair. Members, you're hereby summoned to attend the monthly meeting of the Planning Committee, which will be a hybrid socially distanced meeting to be conducted remotely via WebEx and also physically in the Council offices, Derry Road, Strabane, on Thursday, the 1st of February. 2nd of February. Alderman Alan Breslin. Alan Breslin. No. Alderman Keith Kerrigan.
Here, Maura.
Okay.
Apology for Alan and Drew,
Thank
please.
you. Councillor Jason Barr. Nope. Councillor Raymond Barr. There was apologies. Oh, here. Is it there? Well, thank you.
Jason.
Thanks, Jason. Councillor John Boyle.
Here.
Thank you. Councillor Angela Dobbins, there's apologies. Councillor Paul Gallagher.
And Shaw.
Okay. Councillor Christopher Jackson.
Sure.
Thank you. Councillor Dan Kelly. No. Councillor Patricia Logue.
Sure, online.
Thank you. Thanks, Patricia. Councillor Kieran Maguire. No. Councillor Philip McKinney. Apologies. And Councillor Sean Mooney.
Here.
Okay. Okay, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you, Maura. To the formality of the broadcast statement at agenda item number 3, I would like to remind everybody present at this meeting in the chamber at Derry Road, Strabane, or in attendance remotely that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeated viewing. The broadcast may be terminated or suspended in accordance with our protocol. Due to your attendance at this meeting, you are consenting to being filmed and to the use and storage of those images for broadcasting or training purposes and for the purpose of keeping historical records and making those records available to the public. Members and approved speakers are reminded to only have your microphones and cameras on while speaking at the meeting and to use the chat facility to highlight a request to speak to the chair. Through the chair. A copy of the council privacy notice may be found on the council website at derrystrabane.com. Members, moving to next agenda item, are there any declarations of interest in relation to the business of today's meeting? Content to move on. We don't have any chairperson's business other than the information that Maura gave members yesterday. So I just want to consult with Maura on something briefly, so just bear with me. That's fine. Okay, I've just confirmed something there. Okay, so we'll move straight back to the agenda. Say this thing. Okay, so we're going to item number 11 now, which is LA 11, pardon me, 2021 1006F. And that again is one of the smart hubs, and the officer presenting is Malachy.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, members. Item 11 is LA 11 2021 1006F. It's a full application. Proposal is a smart hub telecommunication kiosk with double-sided digital screen. The location is lands 9 metres northeast of Nando's, which is Unit 4 of the Richmond Centre in Shiki Street. And the recommendation is to refuse. The site is outlined in the red rectangle here. As I say, it's 9 metres north of the Nando's unit, which is adjacent to the Shiki Street entrance to the Richmond Centre and close to the junction with Castle Street. The site is located within the historic city conservation area. It's indicated in the attached map, and it's also the attached image shows the extent of the conservation area. In red and yellow buildings are listed buildings within the conservation area, and the proposed hub is located where the cursor is showing here now. And again, here's images of the proposed smart hubs. To say they're 2.5 meters in height, they're roughly 1 meters in width. The proposed location is shown as a CGI in this attached image here. As I say, it's just about 0.5 meters from the edge of the carriageway. And if you'll see the Shiki Hotel to the rear, which is a listed building, and the Nando's building here just beside it in terms of context. Policy considerations for full application are contained within the Derry Area Plan, the SPPS, PPS3, PPS6, and the guidance as set out in the Historic City Design Guidance 2012. We consulted two bodies in relation to this plan application. DFA Roads have considered the application in the context of PPS3 and in particular AMP1, which is about creating accessible environments. They've put forward two refusal reasons in relation to that policy as set out in the report, in detail in the report. And we've also consulted Historic Environment Division, given the location of the proposed hub in terms of nearby listed buildings, particularly in Shiki Street. HED have recommended refusal on the basis that the proposed position of the smart hub will have an adverse impact on the setting of nearby listed buildings. The report details the identified buildings that they are concerned with. Officers have considered this response and have considered the list of buildings put forward by HED and do agree that on some of the identified buildings that there will be an adverse impact given in the positioning of the proposed hub. And the prominent location at the edge of the footpath, with the likes of the listed building at the Shiki Hotel and the adjacent buildings along Shiki Street, which were shown in the earlier image in yellow. In addition to that, as outlined at the start, the application sites within the conservation area. So officers also have concern that there will be an adverse impact on the character of the conservation area, this particular part of the conservation area. Officers feel that Shiki Street's a key street within the wider context of the conservation area, and particularly within the walled city. And therefore, the position of this is not positioned sensitively within this locality, will have an adverse impact on the setting, and therefore conflict with policies BE4 and BH12 of PPS6. We've also considered the comments from DFA Roads. The refusal reasons offered by DFA Roads in relation to this particular hub centre on public safety. However, as detailed in the report, we're well aware of previous planning appeal considerations and planning case law in relation to the use of AMP1 and releasing these type of applications. the view is, and officers accept the view, is that AMP1 does not deal with public safety issues. It deals with creating sort of, I suppose, safe environments, and sorry, not safe, like accessible environments for pedestrians and non-motorised users. So we believe that the refusal reasons put forward by road service in relation to visibility and impact on drivers cannot be sustained under AMP1. And therefore, we do not agree with those refusal reasons and are not included in our recommendation. So in terms of lead items, you'll be aware from yesterday's discussions on and the images that have been circulated to members prior to the 1st of February meeting, that there was a number of images submitted by the applicant and agent. And he has tends to, I suppose, present these during his presentation. But as again, if there's any questions arising from those images, we'd be happy to respond. So having considered all material planning considerations, including consultation responses, plan policy, relevant case law appeals and submissions by the applicants, officers would recommend refusal on the basis of the adverse impact of the hubs on the nearby list of buildings, the setting of the nearby list of buildings and the setting of this area of the conservation area. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Malachy. Members, of course, you'll recall from yesterday that Matt Kennedy had joined us to address the committee, and will do so again today in relation to the other hubs that we are considering, including this one, of course. And so, Matt, you're very welcome. Thanks for coming back a second day. We apologise we didn't get through all the business yesterday, but you know how this runs for us. We never know how long this piece of string can be. So, Matt, I'll invite you now to address the committee in relation to this application. Go ahead, Matt, whenever you're ready.
Thanks, Chair. Can you hear me?
We're hearing you fine, Matt. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, councillors, on the planning committee for the opportunity to make representation on this application. We have obtained planning permission for 2 pulse hubs, one at Waterloo Place and one adjacent to Millennium Forum. Permission is about the issue for another one at Waterloo Street and another one at Foy Street. All of these are within the historic city conservation area. There are already 27 pulse hubs built or approved in and around Belfast city centre within the conservation areas and adjacent to or in close proximity to other listed buildings. And the applicant is keen to roll out the pulse hubs in Derry city centre as well. But because this is a digital advertising forum, it needs a certain prominence, and it also needs a critical mass, and it needs a network to justify it, to be sustainable. I've looked at the objections. I don't think that the objections to the application are sustainable for a number of reasons. The first one would be the public benefits of the hubs. These hubs provide a number of benefits to the general public. Namely, firstly, a public access defibrillator, allowing anyone, even without training, to potentially save a life. These defibrillators are easily accessible within the hub and talk to users through how to use it. The applicant indicates that this life-saving function has been used 12 times in Belfast in 2022. These proposals will provide 6 defibrillators within the city centre for access to the public. City Centre Initiative have also agreed that they would undertake a maintenance function, regularly checking that the defibrillators were operational in good working order. The hubs also provide sensors that capture crucial data on air quality, which will be made available to Derry city stakeholders to be used for clean air initiatives, which is becoming increasingly important. There's also a police override function for public messaging on the main screen in case of an emergency. This was of significant benefit in Belfast in 2022 when there was a man on a bicycle attacking women within the city centre, and PSNI used this to some effect. It also allows public messaging to promote the city, local services and events in collaboration with City Centre Initiative and Visit Derry. It also provides a 99 button that connects directly to the police, fire, and the medical services in case of an emergency, or if anyone feels intimidated or vulnerable. There's also a free-use touchscreen interface for visitors and tourists to access local maps, services, facilities, and visitor information, and free public Wi-Fi. CCI believes that these functions will be great assistance to visitors and tourists, particularly during major events such as Halloween, Clipper, and the jazz festivals, when the city is swamped by visitors and tourists. The hubs also provide free local and national calls for users, free mobile phone charging, and scope for mobile data offloading. These applications are all supported by City Centre Initiative, who see significant benefits for the city centre from these proposals. The Pulse hubs are also supported in Belfast by both the ambulance service and by the police service of Northern Ireland, due to the significant public health and public safety benefits. I'd also point out that no member of the general public or third party has objected to the applications. In terms of the historic city conservation area and important views, HED has indicated that the proposal would harm the character and appearance of the conservation area. However, both the principle and the design of the proposed Pulse hubs has already been found acceptable by the planning departments in other locations in the historic city conservation area, in narrower streets with lower buildings, i.e. Waterloo Street. The proposed Pulse hubs have also been found acceptable in similar situations in conservation areas in Belfast by both the Planning Department and the Planning Appeals Commission. In a 2019 Planning Appeal 2019 A047 allowed for a Pulse hub in York Street in Belfast, the Commissioner stated, "The design is a standard design for the smart hubs provided by this operator. It has been accepted by the Council as an acceptable development in numerous other locations within the Belfast city centre, including adjacent to listed buildings and within this and other conservation areas." I believe the same point can be also applied to the 4 approvals, Chair, within the historic city conservation area in Derry.
Excuse me, sorry, Matt, your 5-minute speaking time is now complete.
Matt, if you want to just wrap it up quickly and we'll go for questions then.
Okay, Chair. Okay. In terms of impacts on the listed buildings, Chair, the hub's located 14.5 metres from Shipkey Hotel, which is the nearest listed building. This is a 4-storey building, Chair. A frontage of 32 metres, 18 metres onto Shipkey Street, 16 metres onto Richmond Centre. The small scale of this hub was 1 metre wide. Its orientation and its location away from the hub will not detract from the setting of this listed building, which is commercial in nature on the ground floor. The other 3 listed buildings referred to, Commissioner Chairman, are above this listed building, and I don't believe they're within the setting of this hub at all. If you look at the images that were submitted and sent in by myself, you can see that the hub is located within what I would call is the street furniture zone of Shipkey Street. It's located between and it's flanked by 2 large trees, which actually obscure and hide views of Shipkey Hotel. It's also located beside the lamppost and the litter bin, and it's actually located about 16 metres away from the pedestrian crossing point. So I would argue that this proposal does not adversely affect the setting of a Shipkey Hotel, and that is the only listed building that it could affect. But given the prominence and the scale of this building, I don't think that a 1 metre wide hub, which is located 18 metres away at a lower level along the street scene within the street furniture area, adversely detracts from the setting. We're also directly opposite Nando's, Chair, which is not a building of any great architectural merit, which directly faces the listed building and is of substantially more scale. So I would just respectfully request that the committee would reverse this recommendation and allow this application, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. We will now find out if the committee agree or not, of course. But The first opportunity here is for members to put any questions that they have to yourself in relation to that presentation that you've given us. So members, open to the floor for any questions for Matt. And of course, those online. No questions. But it looks fit, Matt. You're all right, no? Councillor Mooney? Yeah, go ahead. Oh, you don't have a question, right? Well, just let me do the formalities then, Matt. We're okay, no questions. Any questions for any of the officers? Okay. Bear with us then, Matt. Back to yourself, Councillor Mooney.
Chair, I have no questions, but I'm listening to Malachy and I'm listening to Matt. And process to start from yesterday. So I didn't like the location yesterday of the application yesterday, but reading the papers last night again and listening to Matt and go through the presentation again, and listening to all that was said, this location strikes me as somewhat satisfactory for the smart hub. I think largely looking at BH11 and looking at 6.28, I'll just read out about it. It says that the economic viability as well as the character of listed buildings within such planned settings may suffer where inappropriate new development isolates them from their surroundings or degrades their landscape setting. This can effectively rob such buildings of much of their interest and the contribution they make to the local countryside or townscape. Now, listening to what Matt said, I agree that the Ship Hotel is 14.5 metres in height, whereas this smart hub is about 1 metre in height. Looking at the photographs as well, this sort of adds me to believe that I think the officers have got maybe the wrong interpretation of this, because if you see the trees and the furniture beside it, the hub itself is actually integrated into the street by the 2 trees and the panoply of the trees, which to me doesn't even reflect from the hotel or any listed buildings in the area. In fact, and then combine that with the public benefits of the smart hub itself, I think would probably add to that part of the town there and the contribution it would make. But all in all, I think that the hub itself is integrated by the trees and the furniture, and also the fact too that I don't think anybody can miss the Shipkey Hotel in comparison to that smart hub. So my proposal would be not to go with the officer's recommendation, but for the reasons I've given, I would put forward that that's my proposal, Chair. Thank you.
Councillor Mooney. That's a proposal from Councillor Mooney. Anyone willing to second that proposal? In the event that nobody...
I'm happy to second. Jason Barr.
Councillor Barr, was that? Yeah, Jason? Yeah. Thank you, Jason. Before we do go to a vote, actually, I mean, as I said yesterday, my view in these, obviously, they're all the same sort of thing. It's really if we feel it's appropriate to locate them where we're being asked to consider. And in this particular instance, my view actually does differ from what my view would have been on yesterday's one. Primarily, mostly actually because of the reasons that are outlined as well by Councillor Barr. But I think another reflections on these things as well is, we've all been to European cities. We all see these in European cities. I've seen them in Rome. I've seen them in Barcelona. In fact, if memory serves me right, I think there's one in Barcelona, near enough, right beside the famous Gaudi house. We want to be as European a city as every other European city, So, the old classic Rome wasn't built in a day, but, I look at these things as well and think to myself, the ancient and the older architecture has to survive alongside a modern way of living, and these are a modern way of living. I think, in truth, I think they're a very good idea. It's really about where we put them, and so on this particular occasion, I'll just express my own view on it. I think that there's more in favour of putting this one here, and so I'm personally supportive of this one. That's not to direct anybody. As I say, I'm just a member of the committee at the end of the day too. So, unless anybody else has anything they want to add, I'll take it over to the vote. Okay, Maura, move to the vote.
Thank you, Chair. Members, this is item 11 and it's a proposal not to accept officer's recommendation. Alderman Alan Breslin. And here. Councillor Keith Kerrigan.
Against, Maura.
Okay. Alderman Drew Thompson. Apologies. To keep up with these apologies. Councillor Jason Barr.
Or
Okay. Councillor Raymond Barr. Nope. Councillor John Boyle. Okay. Angela Dobbins' apologies. Councillor Paul Gallagher.
Against.
Okay. Councillor Christopher Jackson.
For.
Okay. Dan Kelly's apologies. Councillor Patricia Logue. Sorry, we just missed that. Or
Or,
Patricia.
or,
Or thanks, Patricia. Councillor Kieran Maguire. Apologies. And Councillor Philip McKinney as apologies. And Councillor Sean Money. Okay. 5, 4, 2.
Like you heard that, members, that's 5 for, 2 against on this particular one. So we'll move to the next application, which is related to this. I think I said it yesterday, if you don't have the chicken, you can't have the egg, I suppose is one way of putting it. So this is in relation to the advertising elements of this. So again, Maggie, I'll pass it over to yourself.
Thank you, Chair. Item 12 is LA 11 2021 1007. It's an application for advertisement consent, and the proposal is for a smart hub telecommunication kiosk with double-sided digital screen, and it lands 9 metres northeast of Nando's, which is known as Unit 4 Richmond Centre in Shiki Street, and the recommendation is they refuse. As the chair outlined, this is at the same host building, or sorry, host structure for we're going to have a double-sided digital screen. So as you'll see in attached images, the advertising consent is for the consent to advertise on the digital screens at either side of the hub, which was discussed in the last application. So the policy considerations slightly different from the last application in terms of area plan, SPPS. It's PPS 17, which considers the control of outdoor advertisements, and PPS 6 in relation to the conservation area and the design guide. We had consulted DFI Roads in relation to the public safety aspect as set out in AD1. They have provided refusal reasons in terms of impairing the safety of road users by obstructing visibility and concerns about insufficient lateral clearance from vehicles on the carriageway. In terms of the issues in this advertisement consent, again, as put forward in the last application, the main concern from officers in relation to the sign itself is the impact on the conservation area in this respect. So again, it's a similar issues to outline before. It's the location and the context within Shiki Street, the key civic street within the conservation area. In relation to road service concerns, we've considered their response. The main issue raised by the road service, they believe the structure of the hub will affect road safety and traffic progression, and they believe it will obstruct visibility from and to a pedestrian crossing. In this respect, they're talking about the pedestrian crossing from Richmond Centre over to Castle Street, and the siting of the hub impairs the safety of any person interacting with it because there is no protection from moving vehicles and there is insufficient lateral clearance from vehicles on the carriageway. The main policy consideration for assessment of public safety is set out in paragraph 4.11 of AD1, where it, I suppose, sets out the main types of advertisements which are likely to pose a threat to public safety. So they're set out a number of bullet points, 7 or 8 bullet points, which officers have gone through and detailed in the report and considered in relation to the proposed refusal reasons put forward by DFI Roads. We do not believe that the issues raised are consistent with the types of scenarios set out in 4.11, and therefore we don't think it could be sustained as a refusal reason in terms of refusing advertisement consent in this particular case. Again, you're aware of the lid items, which was covered before, and so in summary, in relation to the advertisement consent, our main concern, I suppose it's linked to the concerns we had to the full application, was the impact of the position of this sign within the conservation area. Agreed, Chair.
Thank you, Malachy. Members, remiss if I should have read out for your benefit that this is LA 11 2021 1007A, to record that formally. I think, Malachy, you did say what it was anyway. So again, members, we have Matt on. Matt, I'll invite you to provide any further observations in relation to the planning officer view on this. So again, the usual 5 minutes in order yourself, Matt.
Can you hear me, Chair?
Loud and clear.
Chair, I was going to suggest, just as per yesterday, logic would dictate if the planning application is approved, the advert approval should be approved. And if the application is refused, the advert application should also be refused. I would simply be repeating the same submission or the same representations that I have made 5 minutes ago. And I don't think there's any point in it, Chair. I think your time and the committee's time is more valuable and simply me replicating a previous presentation. So I would just argue that the issues are the same in relation to the advert application. If the principles accepted, then the advert should also be accepted. And if the principles not accepted, the advert shouldn't be accepted. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Thanks for that. Members, anybody got any further questions for Matt? Or any questions for the officers in relation to this one? Okay. Right. Well, I can see the logic is logical, Matt. I suppose there's no other way of putting it. If we're going to approve the cabinet, then we have to approve, I suppose, in my view, we would be nonsensical to do one thing and then not do the other. So, Councillor Mooney.
Thank you, Chair. In light of the previous application, a proposal to not accept the officer's recommendation, and I propose that we don't accept the officer's recommendation based on the same grounds as the previous application. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Mooney. So that's a proposal from Councillor Mooney, and a seconder would be required.
Yep, Councillor Jason Barr here again, John. Happy to second.
Thank you, Jason. So propose to not accept the officer recommendation. Proposed by Councillor Mooney, seconded by Councillor Jason Barr. Don't think anybody indicating they want to say any more. So, Maura, we'll move it to the vote.
Okay, thanks, Chair. This is item 12. Proposal is not to accept officer's recommendation. Alderman Alan Breslin, his apologies. Alderman Keith Kerrigan.
I'll go against, Maura.
Okay. Alderman Drew Thompson, his apologies. Councillor Jason Barr.
Barr.
Okay. Councillor Raymond Barr, his apologies. Councillor John Boyle.
Barr.
Okay. Councillor Angela Dobbins, his apologies. Councillor Paul Gallagher.
I'll go for accept
Okay.
the planner's previous decision.
Councillor Christopher Jackson.
For, Maura.
Okay. Councillor Dan Kelly's apologies. Councillor Patricia Logue. Councillor Logue.
Maura.
Yes, we've just missed the start of it there, Patricia.
4.
4, thank you. Councillor Ciarán Maguire, apologies. Councillor Philip McKinney, apologies. And Councillor Sean Mooney. Okay, 4, 6, 1. 6, 1.
Okay, members, and sorry, that's 6-1, 6-4, 1 against. So obviously that recommendation for refusal has been changed by the committee. So The next application, again, is for another smart hub in a different location, evidently. And it's item number 14 on the agenda, and that's LA 11 2021 1011 /A. And again, as before, Malachy is going to present us with the report on this application. So, Malachy, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. The next item relating to LA 11 2021 1032F is a double-sided digital panel to Smart Hub at location lands 4 metres east of Holiday Inn, 41 Strand Road, and the recommendation is to refuse. The proposed location is set out in the images before you here in the red rectangle. It's adjacent to the Holiday Inn at the junction of Strand Road, Great James Street. It's located at the edge of the footpath, about 0.5 metres from the edge of the footpath at the junction, turning around from Great James Street into Strand Road. Again, I'll just give you the wider context and an idea of the other hubs that have been considered by council under various applications. And we're looking at the one at the north here at Strand Road. The application, again, it's the kiosk as this design of a 2.5 metre high, 1 metre in width, and it's located at the edge here of the corner as you turn around. Here's a CGI image of the proposed hub. Given the location of this hub, the policy consideration is different. We're looking at the Dairy Area Plan, the SPPS and PPS free. So we've consulted DFA Roads in relation to the application. They've provided refusal reasons in relation to public safety, which again are detailed in the report. They provided 4 refusal reasons. Sorry, 2 refusal reasons. They've advanced refusal reasons in relation to the impact of the position of the hub on pedestrians and road users. In relation to pedestrians, the concerns of roads relate to the position of the hub and its effect on their movement. Although officers accept that the policy AMP1 does not deal specifically with public safety of pedestrians, it does deal with convenience of movement. So the proposed hub is located in a position that has the potential to block the view of non-motorised users' visibilities of vehicles coming from Great James Street, and thus cause an unnecessary inconvenience for such users in navigating this busy pedestrian area. Therefore, on balance, officers feel that the AMP1 could be applied in respect of the impact that this proposed hub will have on the accessibility of the environment in this locality. In relation to the second refusal, relating to the impact of the visibility of road users, it is the view of officers that such an impact does not fall within the remit of AMP1 and can therefore cannot be sustained as a refusal reason. The officers are aware of the images that have been circulated to yourselves yesterday, and the agent has those and can show those if he wishes. We do note in relation to this application that the last image in the package relates to proposed relocation of the hub within the existing red line. We've not been asked to formally consider this, so therefore we haven't consulted DFA Roads on this. No, so the item before you is still as per the application submitted and advertised and consulted on. So having considered all the relevant material considerations, including policy, relevant case law, consultee responses, and submissions by the applicant, we recommend refusal on the grounds that the proposal is contrary to AMP1. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Malachy. And again, members, we'll move over and invite Matt back in to address matters concerning this application. So again, Matt, whenever you're comfortable to start, take it from there.
Okay, Chair, can you hear me?
Yes, Matt, loud and clear.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Chair. Thanks, councillors, for the opportunity to address the Planning Committee on this application. This application has one objection against it. It's a DFI objection, as it claims that the proposal would restrict a non-motorised user's visibility from a crossing point, and which does not provide for a safe and convenient movement along pathways or within or between land uses. I don't think this objection can be sustained. And hopefully I'm going to put out the reasons why I don't think that can be sustained. I've already run through the public benefits in terms of the pulse hubs. I don't think there's any benefit in running through them again. I think we all know what they are. So if I could move swiftly along, I was wondering if I could get image 1 put up.
Yep, just bear with us there, Matt.
Thanks, John. Yes, image one is the image that Malachy had showed on his presentation too as well. And I think it's a very good image to illustrate exactly where the hub is. You can see the hub there just directly behind the traffic light. And what you have here is, and what we're talking about is, we're talking about the 2 road crossings at this junction, which one is the Great James Street crossing and 2 is the Strand Road crossing. The Strand Road crossing is where you cross from either the Trinity Bar across to Holiday Inn, or you cross from the Holiday Inn across to the Trinity Bar. So it's not dealing with the Great James Street crossing, it's dealing with the visibility from the Strand Road crossing. And I think this image is very helpful and actually helps sort of make the point that I'm going to try and make to you. When you come down Great James Street and you stop at the traffic lights, that's a dedicated left turn that you make on the Strand Road. You can only make that turn if the lights are green for you. If the lights are red, you're stopped at Great James Street and you don't make that turn until the light goes green. And I thought this image is very helpful because it also indicates that not only is the footpath approximately 8 meters wide at this location and our hub's only 1 meter, ensuring that you have good visibility looking back towards Great James Street if you're standing at the pedestrian crossing waiting to cross across Strand Road. But also you can actually see a guy with 2 shopping bags actually crossing Great James Street at the same time. So anybody, any car who stopped at the traffic lights at Great James Street would have to come through that crossing to actually come past and actually interfere with the crossing, anyone crossing on the Strand Road crossing. Now that crossing is 13 meters set back away from the Strand Road crossing. And it's one of these situations where that crossing, lights go red on that crossing, and that crossing is a red light before the lights will go green on the Strand Road crossing. So really what I'm saying is that if anyone was breaking the lights here, they would be going through the Great James Street crossing first. And as you can see from that pedestrian, when the lights go red, pedestrians are allowed to cross both on Strand Road and also on Great James Street. So they would actually be crossing through the Great James Street crossing before they would actually get the Strand Road. And you have a 13-meter distance and you're coming around a corner and the footpath is 8 meters wide. So I don't think that there's any way that any member of the public safety would be jeopardized by this proposal. Chair, I was just wondering, I have a number of other images in Belfast, Chair, which just show similar situations in Belfast. I can talk through them if you, but they're just similar situations where what we have is we have actually hubs located right beside traffic light controlled junctions. It's just similar circumstances, similar precedents, illustrating similar issues. They're all located at the same distance away from the public road. Actually, I would say that probably in the Strand Road application, the footpath is actually wider in some of the situations in Belfast. But like these are busy roads in Belfast too as well. Wellington Place, just up from the City Hall, Dublin Road. just down from Filthy McNasty's pub, if some of you might know it, Ann Street, Belfast. So these are quite busy roads, and they're quite busy junctions too as well, just as busy as Strand Road. So really, Chair, I don't think I have anything further. Thank you. I would just ask that the committee would reverse this recommendation and approve this application. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, members, well, you've heard Matt's view on this. We've had a presentation from Malachy. Anybody got any questions for Matt? Councillor Gallagher.
Thank you. Just, Matt, I'm going from the report, and you used earlier on one of the photographs, and well, it's image 4, the guy with the 2 bags. You see, if you use both those, image 4 and image 2, image 2, you see a girl with a pink jacket on. And if you revert that, if you could imagine certain girl in the pink jacket into image 4 in the same place with the stand up, you wouldn't see her. That'd be correct.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah.
That's your question.
Yeah, I'm trying to find image 2, Chair. I've image 1, which is the Holiday Inn. I'm looking for image 2. Image 2 is Donegal Square East, Belfast.
No, our image 2 in our pack, Matt, which, can we put that image up for Matt so he can see it, folks? Matt, bear with us. We're going to put that image up on the screen so you can see the one that we're talking about, just in case you can't see it in the packet you have. Okay, Matt, can you see that now?
Yes, I see it here.
So you see the photograph that Councillor Gallagher's talking about is the one with the girl who's closer to us with the yellow haversack, and he's referencing the fact that the lady with the on the pink top. Paul, do you want to ask that question again so as Matt knows just what it is? Matt, Paul, you need to put your mic on.
Oh, thanks. Sorry, Matt. Do you see when you compare the 2 images? And image 2, if you were coming around there in a car and you see the girl that's just coming off the road,
yes,
if you compared that to image 4, you wouldn't see that girl. Right?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but again, Councillor, the point I'm making is that this is a traffic light control junction. This is a dedicated left turn. Traffic cannot make that left turn when the traffic light crossing is on Strand Road. So you cannot cross on that traffic light junction until the lights turn red on Great James's Street. And once those lights are turned red on Great James's Street, they do not then turn green until the traffic light control junction on Strand Road has allowed the pedestrians to cross. So one doesn't happen until the other happens. So you can't actually drive around Strand Road when the pedestrian crossing is green. Because what you have here is that you have the traffic coming off the dual carriageway and coming on the Strand Road too as well. So what happens here is that traffic light control junction, which allows you to cross from the Holiday Inn across the Trinity Inn, also works on the opposite side of the street and also allows pedestrians who are coming up Strand Road to cross from one side of Strand Road across the other, across the dual carriageway junction, coming in from that direction. So the traffic lights are synchronized, and you can't have cars coming through when them pedestrians are crossing. It's just stopped. Somebody could potentially break the lights, drive through it. but they'd be breaking the law. And not only would they be breaking the law, but you would also have 13 meters of that corner to go round before you would get to our actual crossing. And anyone crossing on that crossing would quite clearly see them coming and be able to get out of the way. So no, I don't accept the point. It's technically impossible. It's technically impossible if you're obeying the road laws and if you're obeying the traffic light junction for a car to come round there when a pedestrian's crossing using the traffic light junction properly.
Pat or Matt, the point I was making, like, to say you're on the Strand Road and as a pedestrian and you look left and right and there's nothing coming and you cross the road without using the pedestrian crossing light because you're free to do so, that girl possibly in image 2 cross the road because there was none coming, you wouldn't see her. That's just the point I'm making. Where when you transfer it onto image 4, you wouldn't see her.
I hear what you're saying, but I would point out, if you look at the photograph, that image 2 photograph, you'll actually see that whoever took the photograph was standing on the road when they took the photograph. That clearly indicates that the traffic lights at Great James Street were red, because they wouldn't have been able to stand on the road if the traffic lights had been green. So it actually even further makes my point. You know, they're actually standing on the road. They're actually standing in the middle of the road taking that photograph. You can clearly see their shadow. They're clearly in the middle of the road, and they wouldn't have done that unless that traffic light was red.
That's not the point I'm making, Matt. It's traffic. There's a traffic turn on that bend. Whether there's a light green or red, it turns. And that where that pedestrian is will be blocked. That's the point I'm making, that I think you need to accept, if I'm being honest.
Well, if you
Go ahead,
look
Matt.
at where
Go ahead, Matt. But Matt, I'm very conscious we're getting a bit of a 2-on-2 between you two here. So, but go ahead, answer that, and then we'll take it from there, and I'll throw it open to the others as well. I see, look, Councillor Logue looking to come in. So, Matt, if you want to deal with that, but as I said, there's not much point. Paul disagrees with you, and you appear to disagree with him. I'm not sure, but you're welcome to try and convince him again.
Chair, our hub is located half a metre off the roadside. But within the red line, I could push it back as far as 2.4 metres within the red line of the application site. Now, that's possible. I can do that within the red line, and it's still within the red line of the application site. So if that's a big issue, the application can be moved further back into the application site and set back even further. So it would be 2.4 metres back, and it would actually allow that girl in the pink top to be very, very visible. And actually would sort of address Councillor Gallagher's point.
Okay, Councillor Logue.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Matt. Matt, I too have an issue with this, the position of the hub here. Very, very familiar with this area of the city, and I know there's traffic lights, but given my familiarity with the with the movement of people and traffic here, I do know that people often just use their own eyes and ears to cross the road if the lanes aren't busy, without looking at traffic lights, etc. And I would be very concerned of just where the hub is located so close to the roadway. Now, I don't know if it would take another planning application. You said you could move it within the red line. I would actually need to see exactly where that is. But as it stands at the minute, I would just have the same safety concerns as Councillor Gallagher. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Logue.
Chair, I was just going to suggest maybe if we could put up image 6.
I'm sure we'll endeavour to do that for you, Matt.
Thanks, Chair. That would be my image 6.
Your image 6. Bear with us, Matt.
Yes, Chair, that's number 6. Thank you. Chair, what I was going to suggest is that what I've indicated here is I've indicated the hub, and then you can see 2.420, and then you can see the hub indicated in blue, which would be an alternative location for the hub, which would be set back 2.4 meters rather than being set back a half a meter from the junction, and sort of address the concerns of Councillor Gallagher and Councillor Logue by actually being set back 2.4 meters from the roadway edge. And that would certainly provide significantly more visibility. That box is the red line box of the application site, Chair. And I would argue that that would address their concerns. And yeah, and you can clearly see that would be set back almost 3 times more than the previous distance, which was 0.5 of a meter.
Okay, Matt. Right. Well, that may prove helpful. However, I'm sure officers may have a view on that, but when we come to that point, I'll ask officers what the view is for now. Councillor Mooney.
Thank you, Chair. Just listening to Councillor Gallagher and Councillor Logue, I mean, I, for one, I drive that junction every day, and I do understand it, and I do go always on that junction at several times during the week. And I see their point, but coming around that junction, for me driving, number one, what persuades me, but with what Matt's saying is that probably the vast majority of people who use that when it's legal to use, they cross the junctions, the green light comes on, and the traffic stops and things like that there. But and when you're coming around that junction, you're going around very slow because you're starting off. I think there's enough distance in my own experience to see anybody who's crossing that road. But if what Matt's saying, if he's prepared to move it somewhat and it gives him more visibility, then I would be happy with that there. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Any other questions, members? I have one for you, Matt. Nobody else has. Actually, I was going to say, could we keep that image up there, folks, please? Right. It's just more, I suppose it's in relation to what Councillor Mooney said. I'm actually a non-driver, and so I am what's known as a pedestrian. And I cross these lights umpteen times every day. For a number of different reasons. You've got Tesco's there, you've got the Grand Central there, you've all these different things, you've got hotels right beside them. I see why you want to locate this here, because probably it's a thing that's useful for tourists, Matt. But just in relation to when somebody comes down Great James's Street and the light's green, okay, so there's no pedestrian crossing. They're not crossing there because the lights for the vehicles are green. The vehicle then comes through that light and they turn left. But before they turn left, they would be mad not to look right to see if there's anything coming, I would imagine. And indeed, if they're, you see there that you see the pedestrian pad that's in the middle of the road where the traffic light is located, and then across from it as the hub. Is there a white line on that part of the road that actually indicates the traffic that it should stop? Anyway, whether they've got a green light in Great James's Street or not. So, who's got the cursor?
Yes, Chair. No, Chair. There's no giveaway line or anything like that. But what it is a dedicated left turn, and you simply can't come on the Strand Road if traffic is coming on the Strand Road from the dual carriageway. Traffic has to be stopped at the dual carriageway traffic light before you can get the left turn to come green to allow you on the Strand Road. So I think the argument is that when you're making that dedicated left turn, there's no give way sign because there's no need for you to give way, because there should be no traffic coming through the red light on the dual carriageway traffic light.
Right. So, there's Councillor Gallagher saying sometimes you need to apply a bit of common sense. I don't disagree with him. If I were a driver, I'd probably still stop at that junction before I pulled out, because you never know who's coming the other way. But that would be somebody coming the other way who'd be breaking the law because they've just gone through a red light. But you never rule them things out, I suppose, when you're a driver. That's what you're told when you're learning to drive, I think. But anyway, I'm slowing us down a little bit. But then, so whenever you come round that corner, there then is a pedestrian crossing. And if somebody's hit that pedestrian crossing button and they get a green to go, the pedestrian that is, the driver who may well have come round from Great James Street automatically stops. So they're expected to stop within a 13-metre stopping between the lights in Great James Street and that pedestrian light. That's my view on it, because I've seen it. I've seen me crossing from what is the Holiday Inn Hotel over to the Trinity Hotel in order to walk on the other side of the street down to Tesco's, and I've hit the button there in order to get across the road, and as the traffic has come through the lights at Great James Street, they've had to stop as a pedestrian. One could actually nearly argue that where DFI put the pedestrian crossing isn't terribly safe, if we're arguing that this isn't terribly safe. But I'm just trying to work my way through that. Matt, am I right in saying that you could have a green light in Great James Street and a red light here at the pedestrian crossing straight after it? Is that the case?
Chair, I actually took a walk over at lunchtime, just to have another look at this again. No, Chair, you can only get the green light on the pedestrian traffic control junction on Strand Road if there's a red light on Great James Street. Otherwise, that pedestrian crossing will not allow you to cross. It's only when traffic has been stopped on Great James Street that traffic light junction will allow you to cross, and you'll get a green light to go across Strand Road.
Thanks, Matt. That clears that up. So effectively, if anybody's crossing the road at that point when there's a green light in Great James Street, they're jaywalking. They've made their own decision. Would that not be the case? They've made their own decision to cross the road. I know you can't. Councillor Gallagher saying you can do that anywhere. But go ahead, Matt. Just that's what I'm thinking. You're telling me.
Yes, that's correct, Chair. You can't cross that junction until you get the green light, and you only get the green light when the red light's on Great James Street. And when that red light's on Great James Street, it's also on the dual carriageway. So it's stopping traffic coming off the dual carriageway, coming on the Strand Road too as well. So traffic has to stop on Great James Street and on the Strand Road dual carriageway before you'll get that pedestrian crossing to work.
Good man, that clears that up for me, Matt. Okay, that's grand, Matt. That clears that up for me, and hopefully for others, maybe we're wondering the same thing. Councillor Jackson.
Yeah. Thanks, Chair, and thanks, Matt. And I suppose I'm speaking as a non-driver as well, and as somebody who doesn't frequent the Grand Central as much as I would like, but I would share the concerns that have been highlighted by Councillor Logan, Councillor Gallagher, because whilst I'm a non-driver, I'm a parent, and sometimes there can be challenges in terms of families crossing roads, keeping young children safe next to very busy roads, and if there's any obstruction to the view of drivers that could potentially put young children or any pedestrians in danger, it should be avoided at all costs. And I think that's the point that DFI's response are focusing on. Matt, in terms of the alternative location within the red line, was there any discussions with DFI around whether or not that would be acceptable to them. I just, because I can see that you had the foresight, they see this as an issue and included it in that image. Has there been any discussions with DFI in relation to that alternative location of the smart hub? Thanks, Chair.
Yeah, yes, Councillor. If you actually look at my image 6, it actually says alternative location rejected by DFI roads. You know, we did have discussions with them, and they did make a consultation response on it. However, again, they were unhappy with it. Now, I can see the benefits of it in terms of pushing it back 2.4 metres under the footpath. That footpath is 8 metres wide at that location. I think really what we had here was that road service had offered, if you could see image 6, road service had suggested an alternative location right on beside the actual building shop front, which is indicated just below my 5.272 meters. You can see my alternative location, which is indicated in blue. There's another hub indicated, which is just located just below where I have 5.272, which was another alternative location suggested by DFI road service. Now, when I look at the junction and I look at how it works, I would be concerned that that suggested location would actually obstruct the footpath even more, because it's on the natural desire route for pedestrians who are walking along Strand Road, because they keep quite close to the buildings. And when you're using the actual smart hub, you actually don't use it. You use it end on, you don't use it side on. So anybody who would be using the hub would be actually standing side on at the opposite side of that hub, actually blocking the footpath. Where I think where I proposed it in the alternative location, which is in blue, where you have it there, you're actually outside of the main flow of pedestrians who are coming up and down the Strand Road, and you're actually located in the build out of the footpath, and you're actually set back quite far away from the road edge, but you're also set back quite far away from the building frontage too as well. So you're not interfering with the pedestrian flow. And if you're using that smart hub and you're using it end on, you're actually still more than 2 meters away from the actual roadway edge. But you're not interfering with the flow of pedestrians up and down Strand Road, which, given periods when the tech is operating, you know, the pedestrian traffic flows can be quite heavy up and down Strand Road at that location.
Okay. Okay with that, Councillor Jackson?
Yeah, thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. Members, any other questions for Matt? No. Okay, members, any questions for the officer team? I suppose the most obvious question is, Matt has made a suggestion here in response to Councillor Logue that this might be moved. How might that be done? I suppose is my question. If Matt was willing to move it and somebody thought it was worth doing that, even, because there are a number of opinions around this particular sighting anyway. So, Maura, quick question for yourself.
Thank you, Chair. It's just to remind members, you know, the application we have in front of us is the one that we're being asked to determine. We didn't get an opportunity to consult road service formally with the alternative suggestion, and also, you know, to bear in mind, there's obviously road service have indicated where their preference would have been in terms of the site. So we don't have an alternative site at the moment. What we have is the site that we're being asked to determine now. So it's really a matter for Matt whether he wants to withdraw this application or he wants to produce a revised layout that we can consult. But it's within the red line, but we will have to re-advertise, re-notify and go to a formal consultation with road service. So we're not in a position to determine that today. But we are in a position to determine this application if members choose to, and ask Matt to resubmit an alternative site, which road service then will obviously give us advice on. So it's really a matter for members if they want to proceed with that today or ask them to resubmit.
Okay, Maura, thank you. That clears that up in the sense that, well, and we all know that, but thanks for reminding us anyway, Maura. It's the application in front of us today that we're considering, and then I suppose we'll see what happens. Councillor Mooney, you have questions for officers?
Oh, Chair, it's merely just a fact on the point of resubmission, and I do take on board. You know, I mean, I do look into the photograph again, and I do think these are valuable applications to the town. But if Matt was willing, or if he was interested, maybe perhaps he wanted to resubmit it to perhaps show us an alternative location inside that red line, or maybe produce more evidence or bring more evidence before the committee, just to see if there was any way that could alleviate the concerns of Councillor Gallagher and Councillor Jackson and Councillor Logue, which are valid concerns, obviously, because I mean they were raised about serious matters of road issues and road safety. So in light of that, I would happily propose, if that was the case, if somebody wanted to second it, but that's my proposal.
What we have here in front of us, obviously, members, is are you proposing the officer recommendation then? Yeah, okay. So, Matt, you've heard what Councillor Mooney's saying there. If I can paraphrase him, I suppose he's asking, would you be willing to withdraw it and try again with a different location?
Yes, Chair. Chair, what I would suggest is that because it's within the red line of the application site, an amended site layout would probably be the most appropriate way to proceed, which could be neighbour notified and repress advertised to make sure that there's no prejudice to any third parties. And you could have an official consultation with DFI too as well. I don't think the application needs to be withdrawn. It's simply an amended siting within the red line of the application. This application's been on since September 2021, Chair.
Right, thanks, Matt. Matt, I'm going to defer to Maura on this one because obviously she's the expert in relation to how we might proceed with the like of this.
Yeah, well, I think members, you do have an option, you know, to accept a deferral, but we will have to obviously do all the procedures. But it is disappointing because we could have got the revised layout a few weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and we wouldn't have to bring into committee and go backwards and forwards. So it's, you know, but we could also just make a determination, or Matt can withdraw the application. So there's 3 options, but it is disappointing that such a minor application, if officers could have reconsulted road service, there's no guarantee road service are going to accept and give advice that the revised site within the red line will be acceptable to them, and we might be back in the same position again. But it's, the bottom line is we don't know. So it's a matter for members in terms of efficiency, but they can do all 3 options.
Okay, right. So, Matt, there it is, out in black and white for all to see. Guys, we're going to have to move in a direction at some point here, and we're either going to have a removal of this from our system, we're going to have a proposal, and we're going to have a vote. But Councillor Gallagher, you wanted to speak.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I'd like to propose that we go with the officer's recommendation.
Councillor Mooney, did you have anything further to add? So we have a proposal from Councillor Jason Barr. I'm sorry, I seem to have missed you there. Come on back, come on, and I'll take a. I'm not sure what you're looking for, Councillor Jason Barr. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Jason.
you're okay, Chair. It was going to be a different proposal, but you can go with Councillor Gallagher's first.
No, I've got one now. I've got the first proposal, so we see where this goes. If you've got a counter proposal, then yours will have to come after this one's been dealt with, if indeed this one should fall. Councillor Gallagher has respectfully proposed that we accept the officer recommendation. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, and as I've stated, and some of the questions and my responses, I think this is a serious road issue, and I think that from the photographic evidence that has been provided, we can clearly see it, that it's a danger. as planning committee, as councillors, the last thing we want to do is putting street furniture on that has a blockage to traffic that, and Councillor Jackson hit the nail on the head. There's people that are road sense and there are people that aren't. And there's kids and all the rest that on a future date that we be coming back to have it removed because of a serious accident, I think would be, after highlighting it, I think it would be an injustice. So.
Thank you, Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Gallagher again has proposed that we accept the officer recommendation. Do we have a seconder for that, members? I got it.
Chair, Alderman Kerrigan, I'm content to second Councillor Gallagher's proposal.
Okay, Alderman Kerrigan. Thank you, Alderman Kerrigan. So the proposal is accept the officer recommendation to refuse, proposed by Councillor Gallagher, seconded by Councillor Kerrigan. No further debate required, members, and so we will move it to Maura for the vote.
Thanks, Chair. Members, this is item 13 and it's a recommendation to accept officers, sorry, it's a proposal to accept officers' recommendation. Alderman Alan Breslin, his apologies. Alderman Keith Kerrigan.
For, Maura.
Thank you. Alderman Drew Thompson, his apologies. Councillor Jason Barr.
Against on the grounds I would rather a deferral, but against on this.
Right. Thank you. Councillor Raymond Barr, his apologies. Councillor John Boyle.
I'm actually in two minds about this, so I think it's probably best to abstain.
Okay. Councillor Angela Dobbins, his apologies. Councillor Paul Gallagher.
For.
Okay. Councillor Christopher Jackson.
For, Maura.
Thank you. Councillor Dan Kelly, as apologies. Councillor Patricia Logue. I think that's 4. Is that right, Patricia?
Correct, Maura, yes.
Thank you. Got you, thanks. Councillor Kieran Maguire, as apologies. Councillor Philip McKinney, as apologies. And Councillor Sean Mooney.
4.
4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 4. Chair, 1 against and 1 abstention.
Okay, members, I think we all heard that. Okay, that was 5 for, 1 abstention, being myself.
1 against.
And 1 against. Okay, we'll go through the formality, I suppose, of the next application, because clearly we've had this debate before. This is in relation to the content of the hub that we've just refused. But Malachy, I have to ask you to go through the formalities at this point because it's here on the agenda.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Item 14 is L11 2021 1011A is an application for advertising consent for display of double sign digital panels to a smart hub, and it lands 4 metres east of Holiday Inn at 31 Strand Road. You're aware of the location and the context from our previous discussion in the last item. And again, you're aware of the extent of the proposed advertisement. Again, it's the double-sided digital signs as shown in the image. What is different from this application is the policy context in terms of assessing the impact of the actual advertisement. So it's a Derry Area Plan, the SPPS, PPS 17 for the control of advertisements. We have also consulted roads in relation to the advertisement consent, given the public safety aspect of 81 within PPS 17. They've given a number of refusal reasons in relation to the proposed sign and the impact of the proposed sign at this location. To believe that the kiosk impairs the safety of road users by obstructing visibility from to a pedestrian crossing. That impairs the safety of road users by obstructing forward visibility at the corner junction of Great James Street and Strand Road. That the kiosk impairs the safety of any person interacting with it because of no protection from moving vehicles and the insufficient lateral clearance from vehicles on the carriageway. And that the kiosk impairs the safety of road users by causing a distraction at a highly trafficked intersection. So as I say, we've gone through the various issues that they have in relation to the sign at this proposed location. The main policy consideration within 81, as I say, there's two things that we must consider for a sign. It's its impact on character and its impact on public safety. So we're mainly looking at the public safety aspect in relation to 81, in relation to these signs. So at paragraph 4.11 of 81, it states the main types of advertisements which are likely to pose a threat to public safety. We've considered the reasons put forward by DFA Roads. As I say, there was 4 reasons, and we believe that 3 of those are consistent with the types of issues raised within 81 and paragraph 411. So we do agree that the position of the sign has the potential to affect the visibility of drivers at this junction, that it could obstruct the driver's use of MUs crossing Strand Road, and the proposed location and nature of the signage could cause a distraction at this traffic junction. Our detailed reason of why we accept that is set out in the report. Again, you're aware of the lit items, which are which have been presented previously by the applicant. So in summary, our recommendation is that the proposal is contrary to the requirements of 81 of PPS 17. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Malachy. Again, members, I'm going to pass it quickly over to Matt. I have a fair idea. I know what he's going to say, but Matt, I'll pass it over to you for the formalities of addressing the committee, I suppose.
Okay, Chair, I accept the principle. The principle is not accepted by the planning committee. Therefore, I don't believe that the advert consent can be approved either. Logic dictates it, so I'm not waste any more of the committee's time. I would just accept the committee's decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. I don't imagine anybody's got any questions for you. Councillor Kerrigan, do you have a question?
No, Chair.
All right. Bear with me. Anybody, any questions for officers? No. Councillor Kerrigan, come on back in again.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm just content to speed the process up and propose officer's recommendation. Thank you, Chair.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Alderman. A seconder. Councillor Gallagher. Okay, Maura, I think we'll go straight to the vote.
Thank you, Chair. This is item 14. The proposal is to accept the officer's recommendation. Alan Breslin, as apologies. Alderman Keith Kerrigan.
For, Maura.
Thank you. Alderman Drew Thompson, as apologies. Councillor Jason Barr.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Raymond Barr, as apologies. Councillor John Boyle.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Angela Dobbins, as apologies. Councillor Paul Gallagher.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Christopher Jackson.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Dan Kelly, as apologies. Councillor Patricia Logue.
Maura.
Thank you. Councillor Kieran Maguire. His apologies. Councillor Philip McKinney's apologies. And Councillor Sean Mooney. Thank you. That's unanimous. Thanks.
Thank you, members. That's unanimous. But logic would dictate that it would be. Matt, thanks a lot for joining us and bearing with these things. And I suppose we all know these things can sometimes not only be dictated by planning policies and consultees, but sometimes that they're a little bit subjective as well. But look, you're very welcome to do what you were suggesting you might do. So I wish you well with that, if that is the case. And perhaps we'll see this location again in the planning committee. So Matt, thank you very much for coming along.
Thanks, Chair.
Okay, members, so we'll move along now to the last item for decision in the planning list, and that is LA 11. It's number 2 in the planning list, and that's LA 11 2021 0909F. So that's item number 2. And the arrangement we had for that was that Sarah would do item number 2, I think. So Sarah, take it away whenever you're ready.
Thanks, Chair. Item 2 is LA 11 2021-0909F. This is the proposed remediation of the historic lime and tar deposition area at DuPont Maydown Works Legacy Land and its environmental improvement to include landscaping and vegetation management, pathways, fencing, car parking and associated site access and ancillary works. The site is at Maydown Works and officer's recommendation is to approve. So this is the site location plan and aerial photograph of the site. The proposed development is located on 9.7 hectares of brownfield lands at the site of the former lime pile at Maydown Works, located between the existing DuPont site and the Belfast to Derry railway line. The site is zoned in the Derry area plan as existing industry. The application site historically was used for the disposal of lime, tar and other wastes. The site has been unused for more than 40 years and is well vegetated with grass cover. 3 historical tar pits are present in the south central portion of the site. North of the former lime pile, there is a railway embankment and the mouth of River Foyle, Loch Foyle, located beyond the railway line, running along the northern boundary of the site. The site is bound to the east by the Eastern Causeway and the tidal foreshore of the River Faughan. The main objective of the proposed development is to remediate the site to ultimately provide an environment suitable for the safe future management of the site and the River Faughan foreshore. So this is an aerial photograph of the site looking to the south, showing the lime pile area and the northern lagoon. This is an aerial photograph looking northeast, showing the historical tar pits in the foreground. This is an aerial photograph looking to the southwest, showing the Belfast to Derry railway line and the Eastern Causeway. So this application was accompanied with an environmental statement which assessed and considered the effects of the proposed development on the environment. A summary, a detailed consideration of the consultee responses are set out in the officer's report, and a summary is on the slide above you. So none of the consultees had any objections to the proposed development. This is the general layout of the proposed remediation works, and essentially the proposed development will include 2 main elements. The first being the remediation of the historic lime and tar deposition area and then landscaping works to improve the safety of the site and visual amenity of the site. So the works to be undertaken include vegetation clearance, stabilisation of residual tar deposits, earthwork to provide safer slopes and a platform for construction, construction of an engineered capping solution to provide containment of the lime deposits and prevent infiltration of rainwater, and this will result in a reduced generation of leachate. Construction of a hydraulic barrier to limit generation of the leachate and limit migration of leachate towards River Faughan. Construction of leachate drains to control groundwater levels in the lime pile site and convey leachate to existing treatment lagoons. Construction of a southern groundwater drain and landscaping to enhance the overall environmental performance of the development site, and construction of a small car park for servicing and access for maintenance to the site. So this is the landscaping proposals following remediation of the site, and the landscape design proposals will ecologically enhance the capped former lime pile, effectively rewilding the man-made earthworks and returning them to nature, but within a managed landscape. It is proposed to enhance the ecological value and create new habitats within the site area, hereby implementing a sensitive landscape design. There will be 3 floating islands proposed within the existing lagoon to the north, which will ecologically enhance and improve water quality and habitat for fish, where marginal plant roots will grow down into the water. The islands will also provide nesting habitats for birds. The proposal will provide a hay meadow in the south portion for biodiversity that will have grass paths incorporated into it. Additional grassland is also proposed, comprising of species-rich grassland, and there will be features for newts in the wet meadow. These landscaping and environmental works will provide a betterment to the ecological amenity value of the site. So in terms of the policy assessment, the site is located in the northeastern part of the industrial zoning IND 6 at Maydown. This proposal comprises the remediation and landscaping works to improve the safety of the site, visual amenity and ecological value. The proposal complies with ENV 7 landscape requirements with sensitive landscaping design, creating new habitats within the site which will be beneficial to wildlife. The proposal complies with ENV 8, the water environment, and policy ENV 9. impacts of contamination on the site, drainage, surface water impacts, water quality, and SUDS proposals have been assessed, and the remediation of the site and the risks on both River Foyle and River Faughan will be decreased and reduced from that which currently exists on the site, and will also improve water quality. Impacts on air quality, including dust, noise and vibration, and human health have been considered in detail, and the proposal complies with the SPPS. There are no impacts on the historic environment, and the proposal complies with PPS 4 in that it does not change the use or result in the loss of zoned industrial land. A satisfactory access and parking for maintenance vehicles has also been provided, and therefore the proposal complies with PPS 3. In terms of PPS 2, impacts on designated sites, habitats, invertebrates, newts, otters, bats, birds, badgers, and other natural heritage interests, and also impacts on the coastal environment have been assessed and considered in the environmental statement, and the proposal complies with PPS 2. A flood risk assessment was submitted as the site is within the river and coastal floodplain. This proposal is an exception to FLD1 as it is for the sensitive restoration of the lime pile site with the introduction of new ecological features and habitats to enhance the site for nature conservation purposes, which is an exception within policy. The proposal also complies with FLD3 in that a drainage assessment was submitted and there is evidence of Schedule 6 consent to River Faughan. Some of the drainage aspects incorporate SUDS, which will be managed and maintained by DuPont, which is recommended as a condition in officer's recommendation. So in summary, the environmental statement and the further environmental information submitted in the application explains the findings of the environmental impact assessment process undertaken for the proposed development. A number of environmental impact avoidance and mitigation measures are identified to mitigate and control the environmental effects during construction and operation of the development. There's been no objection from any consultee, and conditions for mitigation are set out within the report. This proposal will remediate a contaminated site and will improve site safety, visual amenity and ecological value at the site and surrounding environment. Remediation of the site will provide an environment suitable for the safe future management of the site and River Faughan. The betterment of the ecological amenity value of the site is a significant element of the scheme, given the site's proximity to areas of nature conservation. No representations have been received in the application, and officer's recommendation is to approve subject to the conditions in the report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Sarah. Members, there's no speakers wanting to address the committee in relation to this application. Are there any questions for Sarah or the rest of the team from yourselves? Straightforward enough, I suppose, members. You would consider this to be something of some significant value. That's a good news, in my view. I'm very welcome to see the return of nature, and it's great to see that the company responsible are willing to make amends in some sense without prejudice. Councillor Mooney.
Thanks, Chair, and thank you to Sarah for the report, and just echo your comments, Chair. Obviously, this is a good story. It's the remediation of land at an industrial area on the edge of the city, and it's good news. It's land come back into use for a popular and in a good way. So I'm quite happy to recommend that we accept the officer's recommendation in this case. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mooney. Anybody else want to make any comment on this? Councillor Jackson?
I'm a good chair, and just on the same vein, I'm happy to second the proposal. It's a very welcome remediation scheme that isn't going to have any detrimental impact on industrial land. It's going to be a vast improvement to the local area. So more than happy to second the officer's recommendation. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. No further indicated speakers, but so we do have a proposal from Councillor Mooney, seconded by Councillor Jackson, that we accept the officer recommendation to approve, and we'll move it straight to the formal vote. Maura.
Thank you, Chair. This is item 2, and this is a proposal to accept the officer's recommendation. Alderman Alan Breslin, his apologies. Alderman Keith Kerrigan. Alderman Keith Kerrigan. No. Alvin Drew Thompson as apologies. Councillor Jason Barr.
Or
Thank you. Councillor Raymond Barr as apologies. Councillor John Boyle. Sorry, just hold a second. I'm just checking.
Just keep going.
Okay. Councillor John Boyle.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Angela Dobbins as apologies. Councillor Paul Gallagher.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Christopher Jackson.
Or.
Thank you. Councillor Dan Kelly as apologies. Councillor Patricia Logue.
Or.
Thank you. Councillor Ciara Maguire as apologies. Councillor Philip McKinney as apologies. And Councillor Sean Mooney.
For.
Thank you. I'll just go back to Councillor Carrigan.
Yeah, it's far more. I couldn't get
Thank you.
couldn't get the button
Thanks
right.
very much. That's 3. That's unanimous. That's 7. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Maura. Thank you, everybody. That's unanimous, members. There's a few other items on the agenda. But before we go to them, I'm going to suggest that we take a 5-minute break, members, after hearing through those, if that's all right with you, sir. Okay, so we're going to take a 5 minutes and come back to it. And then we've got items 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then on the confidential. So let's take 5 minutes, folks. Everyone, hello, good afternoon again. Members, thanks for taking that short break. It can be sore in the back for people sitting for a couple of hours at a time, so just a wee quick comfort break. So members, we'll move on now to the items on the agenda at number 10, which is the Donegal County Council Letterkenny Plan of Transportation consultation. I have it here as Francis is going to speak to you on this. So Francis, if you'd like to take it away.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, members. The paper before you is to advise that a formal consultation has been received from Donegal County Council recently regarding the draft Letterkenny plan and its local transport plan for the period from 2023 to 2029. The draft plan itself is accompanied by 2 environmental reports, a flood risk report and a traffic modelling report. The consultation period extends up till the 17th of February. So members, we have prepared a draft response for submission to Donegal County Council in advance of that date, and it's set out at the appendix. By way of background, members, the report sets out the background to the 5 documents. There are links in the appendix to the Donegal County Council website itself, and the 5 documents are all set out therein. In summary, members, the primary document is the the draft Letterkenny and plan and local transport plan. It's a substantial 170-page document. Part A is a land use plan for Letterkenny for that period, 23 to 29. And Part B is a related and integrated transport plan for the town and its environs. Details are set out in the plans themselves, but in summary, the main points are from the Letterkenny plan. The main objective is to increase the population to that of a small city, that sort of a scale of at least 35,000 people towards 2040. That's to provide 4,500 more homes and 15,000 more people between 2023 and 2031. It's also to provide an additional 5,000 to 6,000 jobs over the same period. And they are proposing to accommodate the expansion of their university, the Atlantic Technological University, Letterkenny campus, with 1,000 additional students. And then there's also to be, in transport terms, a regional transport hub, public bus routes, active travel, etc., as well as a whole raft of transport-related policies relating to the town centre. As I said, the details of the 5 documents and the plan and its 4 assessments are all available and are summarised in the report before you today. So I can go over any of that there if you want. Again, members, as I said, firstly, the Letterkenny land use plan. It includes a series of ambitious development targets. And then there's a whole, but those development targets are in line with the National Development Plan and the regional level of growth. So it's a land use plan. It's got a whole raft of zonings and policies proposed for Letterkenny as part of it's in support of the Donegal County Development Plan. It is felt that as policies for Letterkenny, there's no particular comment for this council to provide comment on any of those plans, any of those proposals. Similarly, the transport elements of the plan are noted, and indeed we have commented on the 10T main road proposals in the past. The only point that we would pick up that we had suggested that there would be park and ride facilities provided at the southern edge of Letterkenny, similar to what are proposed in our own local development plan for for the Edge of Derry and Strabane as part of sustainable transport solutions. But other than that, it is felt that there's no, given the distance of Letterkenny from our district, that there's no specific need for us to make any other comments. With regard to the 4 supporting documents, the 2 environmental statements and flood risk and traffic modelling, these all seem to be, they're all substantial documents, and we've given a short summary there of what they do. They're all substantial documents. They seem to have gone through the respective processes, and they seem to be thorough and fit for purpose from a preliminary read of them. So they're not considered to have any direct implications for this district, and it's not proposed or felt that there should be any particular comment on them other than that. So members, as part of the recommendation, at the appendix, we have prepared a draft response, which it is suggested should be issued to Donegal County Council. Again, it's a very positive response, noting the support for Donegal County Council and reflecting the close cooperation between the 2 councils and supporting them as the key part of the Northwest region and the Northwest Metropolitan Plan city region as is emerging. So it is felt that, you know, the growth of Letterkenny and the sustainable development therein is very much in line with the overall Northwest region initiative and the city plan. So members, the recommendation is that the draft response should be issued to Donegal County Council. Other than that, members, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Francis. Members, you'll see the draft response there in the appendix. My letter from Paul Christie, or to Paul Christie at the Central Planning Unit in Donegal County Council. So if anybody has anything that they would like to add to that letter, feel free to do so. So I'll open it up to yourselves. Francis, was quite funny actually when I was reading it the other day. I thought I saw some typos, and I'm sitting reading it again now and I can't see the same typos, so don't be worrying about them. I saw them once and I can't see them twice. So members, if you're all content, we'll mandate Francis to forward that on. It does need a proposal and a seconder. That's up for Councillor Gallagher or Councillor Mooney. Proposed and seconded. Okay, thank you, Francis. Thanks for joining us. Item 11 is the DERA ammonia consultation, and I'll pass that to Suzanne.
Thanks, Chair. Yes, members, so in your packs is information and a draft response to DERA on their recent draft ammonia strategy, which they've issued for an 8-week consultation. It's quite a strategic consultation. It's not all directly relevant to planning, as you'll see. However, clearly the issue really is in relation to the fact that Northern Ireland has so many sensitive sites in terms of impacts of ammonia, and they have quite ambitious targets in terms of driving the ammonia forward. Therefore, they've brought out interim targets and measures across Northern Ireland. Fundamentally for us really is their proposal that they're going to develop a call for evidence for a new operational protocol to assess the impacts of air pollution and the natural environment, and they're aiming to publish this separately in 2023. Members might recall that this was an issue that came out of the Northern Ireland Audit Office report, whereby the auditor encouraged all departments to work together to bring that protocol forward as soon as possible. So whilst we welcome that, we would like to see that published as soon as possible, which will enable us to provide clarity and certainty, both as decision makers and also as advising applicants on potential planning applications. So if there's 21 questions, I've did a response to the ones that we felt were relevant. If members have any further comments or questions or issues they want me to take on board, and I'm happy to discuss and take that advice on board, and I will send the consultation off via the online citizen space. Thanks.
Thank you, Suzanne. Members, as Suzanne said, that's there for you to comment on, should you wish to do so. In the event that there is no further information that you feel there's no further information you wish to add, then I'm content to proceed with that, with a proposer and a seconder. So we've nobody online, so we need a proposer and a seconder. Can I, Councillor Gallagher will propose and Councillor Mooney are seconding? Yeah. Okay. So thank you for that, Suzanne. Members, the next three items are open for information for you, 12, 13 and 14, list of decisions issued, appeals update and the portal update. Any members wish to raise any matters in relation to those? No? Okay. And Maura, because it's on that as an agenda item, Maura feels it might be useful to update on the portal, which I'm sure we've all had some experience of by now. Go ahead, Maura.
Thank you, Chair. Just further to the report, members, you will have seen potentially recent commentary on social media about the portal. And it's just to reassure members that some comments regarding the RSUA, and that, you know, the board has taken this quite seriously in terms of the SRO for the project, has taken that on and given answers to the queries and in terms of timelines and updates, but also has agreed to meet with them today. So we were being assured as heads of planning that those matters were being addressed. But it's also to reassure yourselves that all, myself and other strategic and senior officers here are engaged in groups where we're feeding in the problems, not just as individual incidents, but from my perspective, the key issues, which is ensuring that the public and yourselves and agents can all view information. And also consultee hubs. The consultees can work behind the scenes in the back office and obviously improve things for our own staff, you know, and it is accepted that there's teething difficulties, and we always expected some frustrations and difficulties with a new IT system. But it's most important that I let you know that the strategic issues and the key issues, that they are being highlighted to the board and to request about getting those resolved. We have a number of sort of Q&A answers. What I was going to suggest to do with my team locally here is to sit down and run through some of those answers and lines to take, which is clearly what is frustrating agents. Not all our agents would be members of the RSUA, the Royal Society of Ulster Architects. However, so therefore, in order to ensure they get the same information, I was going to suggest we do something specific on our website. And more to the point, if there's any specific issues or incidents, I know that some members have contacted us and we're answering as best we can, but just to bring to our attention, if anybody, agents or members of the public, because we'll use the conduit, you know, obviously to raise that at whatever level we need to. And just to bear with us, and I'll obviously keep everyone updated at the next committee as well. Thank you.
Okay, Maura, thanks for that brief update. Everybody happy enough to take that as advised? I mean, you can see there in the paper that, you know, our officers have identified what issues they feel, and that has been fed up through the food chain, I suppose, really, you know. So that's reassuring, Maura, I have to say. And of course, we all know, as members of planning committee and non-members of planning committee, all know that, you know, when they make a call into the planning office team, they receive, you know, good service, as best service as, you know, as humanly possible, I suppose. So we appreciate that. And on behalf of other members, I thank you and your team for continuing to chase these matters up. So members, if there's no further comment, we will move into the confidential of the meeting. Just a proposer and a seconder, again from Councillor Gallagher and Councillor Mooney, proposing and second that we go into confidential. Okay, just give it a minute.